Today we'll be talking about electricity. Of course, it's a very vital sector in the nation's development or in the life of everyone. The issue of lack of electricity or its inadequacy in Nigeria remains a burning issue in the annals of national discourse. As part of the efforts geared towards solving the problem, especially in the rural areas where they are worst hit, the Nigerian government established the Rural Electrification Agency, REA. This is the organization that has been doing all within its mandate to electrify the rural suburban areas of Nigeria. The man at the helm of affairs of this great and laudable agency is my guest. He is Alhaji Ahmed Salihijo Ahmed. He's my guest in this edition of In the News. Welcome to Voice of Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Mr. Godwin, and it's a pleasure being here. As the Rural Electrification Agency, under the supervision of the Federal Ministry of Power, is to take electricity to unserved and underserved areas within the entire country. So we looked at unserved areas where we don't have adequate electricity, mainly in rural communities. We have gone about this in various manners. We look at electricity through the grid extension. So we look at areas where the grid hasn't been able to reach. With all the efforts that the federal government is making in ensuring that the infrastructure around the provision of power from the generation to the transmission to the distribution is being rigorously improved. We find areas where if the grid hasn't been able to extend to it, we extend that grid to those communities. But unfortunately, in some areas, the grid cannot reach those areas because of the distance. So we are forced to also look at other means of provision of electricity. We look at providing in some areas solar mini grids. In other areas where we have dispersed communities, we look at using the solar home systems. So depending on where the area is and depending on how we view that area, we use any of these technologies to take electricity to those particular areas. Absolutely right. So the model that we have been using, of course, we wouldn't go outside of what the regulations say. So all our tariffs are currently being calculated through the MITRO. But of course, at the same time, what you also have to understand is that the fact that the electricity is also available, it's a very, very huge advantage. So our own prices usually compare with people who are providing electricity for themselves through maybe buying diesel for their own generators. So what you realize is that they make a savings from the fact that there is now electricity available, but if you tie that to what they would usually spend on buying diesel, you realize that it actually blends itself. My message continues to be, as you've touched on, ensuring sustainability of our projects, ensuring that anytime, government does a lot, and I think it's the duty of the communities to continue to protect projects that government do. So when they see that there's vandalization, when they see that there are issues, I think it's the community should be able to raise concerns so that at least either we're able to come there and arrest the situation, or they report to the nearest agencies that could also help us curtail this. But I think the general message is that we're working for the communities, and we expect something also back from them, at least from a sustainability and a protection standpoint.
Alhaji Ahmed Salihijo Ahmed, thank you for coming for Voice of Nigeria.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
It was worthwhile having you in our studio.
Thank you very much.
And this here will come to the end of this edition of In the News, but don't forget you can still tune to this edition of the program if you go to our website of www.von.gov.ng. At the platform where you could reach us through the apps, you can go through TuneIn Radio, Simple Radio, and Radio Garden.